Hello everybody, today I'm going to talk about the rules of law and international human rights. In the area of safeties and security, in every environment or communities or business place, these laws cannot be executed without the rules of law and international human rights. This come into effective as the United Nations in 1945. The United Nations was created on the pillars and international peace and security for human rights and the development. Almost 65 years later, the complex political and social and economical transformations of the modern society has brought us a challenges and opportunity which required a collective responsibility or response which must be guided by the rules of law, as it is in the foundation of friendly and equitable relationship between one state to another, or one individual to another, or state to civilian. It's the basis of fair society. For the United Nations system, the rules of law is the principle of governance in which all person and institution and entity or public places or private places or the state itself are accounted to the law that are publicly, equally enforced and independent, that is equity, and which are consistent with the international human rights or norms and values or standards. It requires a measures to adherence to the principle of the supremacy of the law and equity before the law and accountability to the law and fairness in the application of the law and separation of powers, that is delegation of power, and participates in the decision making, legal certain and advance of arbitraries and procedures, and the legal transparency. The rules of law is the fundamental to international peace and security and safety and political stability, to achieve the economic and social progress and the development, and to protect people's rights and fundamental freedom. This simply means that the rules of law, these are laws that are put in place to guide the footsteps of citizens or humanitarian. What are they supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do, and what is their responsibilities. Then it is also the foundational to people and access to public service, restrain the abuse of power, and to establish social contracts between the people and the state, or for example between the courts and the state, between the citizen and the police. So these are laws. There should be a social contract. Social contract means that is an agreement. So whenever one party breaks this social contract, it can lead to chaos or conflicts, right? That is called social contracts. Rules of laws and the development are strongly interlinked, and the strength of rule of law based on society should be considered as the outcome of the 2030 agenda and sustainable development, that is the SDG, right? Basically, these rules of law come into existence to guide the footsteps of human beings, to guide the footsteps of citizens. Without law and order, society will not be peaceful. Without law and order, at least people will know what they are allowed to do. But in these rules, there should be fair rules of law, wherein there should be a social contract between the government, and the individual. So in this context, rules of law help us in terms of safety in every society, in terms of security, in terms of disaster, what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do. In addition to particular goals, enable the goals for member states of generating national level or policy changes that advance progress on other SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goal. The development of inclusive and accountability of justice systems and the rules of law reform will provide quality service to the peoples and building trust in the legitimacy of the government or the law enforcement. So, abide by the rules and regulation is more necessary in this context. The approach should be respond to the needs of individual and group. Their meaningful participation from the outset, paying particular attention to those historical mechanisms and the risks of being left behind. It includes prevention of serious violation of human rights, achieving credible accountability for the responsibility at a national level and international level, and empower of individual community to make use of justice mechanism to protect their fundamental human rights. The rules of law is an important component of sustainable peace and security and safety in every country or in every workplace. As an advice by the General Assembly and Security Council in the twin resolutions on the review of the peace building and architects, sustainable peace requires as an integrated and comprehensive approach across the United Nations system based on the coincidence and between the political, security and development of human rights, gender and equality, and the rules of law activities in support of the membering states. This simply means that these laws by the United Nations of the humanitarian law, it helps in guiding state to state their activities, wherein one law is applicable in another state. So that simply means that it helps people to be on the same page, on the same goals, wherein, for example, in laws like bridging of contracts, the same bridging of contracts laws that is applied in one country is applying in another United Nations law country, right? Then talking about the strength in the rules of law involve respecting for the norms and international laws, including on the use of force and recognitions of primary responsibility of the state to protect the primary responsibility of the state to protect their populations from genocide, crime against humanity, gangs, ethnic cleansing and war crimes, etc. The rules of law is the elements of humanitarian and human rights agenda, is crucial to understand and addressing the reason for the displacement and the criminals and the fundamental of the humanitarian protection regimes. Rules of law also issues including emerging and critical issues such as the proliferations of hate speech, incitement, violence, preventing radicalisms, and violating extremisms, climate change, and the environment impacting on the securities and livelihood of people, safety of people, and the complexity of artificial intelligence and cyber crimes. To conceptualize all these rules of law, it helps building of the security and safety and the conflicts resolutions. A citizen to know their roles and responsibility, their boundaries, which are the laws that are governed, for examples, in area of your workplace where someone's supposed to drink, where you are not supposed to drink, and when you are driving, the rules that governs. So in every country it should be applicable to another United Nations country. So I stop here, and my own partake here is for people to understand the rules of law, that is the enforcement of law, their rights, their human rights, and their roles and responsibility. So I stop here.